Hello and welcome to our series on Open Triads. I'm Josh with Fretvu, and in this series we'll learn how to construct open triads, we'll explore a system for playing them in all three inversions in 5 different positions, and we'll practice connecting them in a few useful musical ways. Let's dive right into the key of G major. Here's our first open triad shape. You can see we're playing the root of the chord on the low E string, then the 5th of the chord above that on the A string, then the 3rd of the chord on the G string. So why do we call this an open triad? Well, the triad part comes from the fact that it's 3 notes. And the open part refers to the way it spans more than an octave. In this case, it spans a 10th between the root and the 3rd up here on the G string. That's a simple definition of an open triad. When I first started practicing these, I found them frustrating for a couple of reasons. First, they can be a little tricky to play physically. There are some stretches involved that might require a little bit of finger yoga. Take this inversion, for example. The second thing that's tricky is that there are multiple ways to play lots of these voicings. For example, just this one inversion can be played 6 different ways and sound exactly the same. And that's not even accounting for any fancy open string fingerings. So I always used to get a little carried away trying to catalog all these shapes and all their different forms. So to simplify this for us, I've grouped these systematically in 5 positions that correspond to our 5 caged bar chords. If you're unfamiliar with that concept, go check out our series on the caged system. We'll be playing all 3 inversions of the triad in each position. Let's start with our E-shaped bar chord at the 3rd fret. That's a big fat G major bar chord, and from it we can pluck out that first open triad shape just by picking the low E, A, and G strings by themselves. It's pretty convenient. Next is our first inversion triad. First inversion simply means that the 3rd of the chord is now the lowest note we play. We'll play it at the 2nd fret of the A string, then finish out the voicing with the 5th fret of the D string and the 3rd fret of the B string. From the bottom up, that's the 3rd, the root, and the 5th of the chord. Last, we have our second inversion, open triad voicing. The term second inversion just means that the lowest note of the voicing is the 5th of the chord. We'll play it at the 5th fret of the A string, then we'll complete the voicing by skipping a string and playing the 4th fret of the G string, and skipping another string and playing the 3rd fret of the high E string. So that's the 5th, the 3rd, and the root is on top. Just like our first shape, this one can be plucked right out of that familiar E-shaped bar chord. There we have it, 3 inversions of the open G major triad built around that E-shaped bar chord. In the next video, we'll tackle the next 4 positions up the neck. Until then, challenge yourself to get these shapes under your fingers. The most difficult part might just be remembering which strings to pluck with your right hand. Like I always say, it really helps to write this stuff down in a diagram or using tabs or even standard notation. The more ways you can get the information in your brain, the better. As an extra challenge, before tackling the next video, can you make these 3 voicings into minor voicings? Give it a try, and when you're ready, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, Don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube so you never miss a lesson.